Stay tuned for the Joan Quinn Profiles. Joan served the state of California as a member on the Arts Council and on the Film Commission. She was formerly on the Architectural Commission and fulfilled 2 terms on the Fine Arts Commission for the city of Beverly Hills. As an editor for Andy Warhol's Interview magazine, Condé Nast Publications, and the Hearst Corporation, Joan covered the world of fashion, the mysteries of food, the excitement of theater, and the international art scene. She continues to find people who are on the cutting edge of their professions. Here's Joan Agajanian Quinn.
Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome to the Joan Quinn Profiles. We're taping here at the Hollywood Museum in that historic Max Factor building on Highland Avenue. And our guests are composer Joe Greene and author Beulah Sanchez. Actor, musician, composer Joe Greene moved from Chicago, where he studied musical theater at Columbia College, to Los Angeles. You've seen him on stage in films and on TV, and one performance was on America's Got Talent. We have to ask him about that. And who was Boom? What was it? Boom?
The Bouffant sisters.
Bouffant. Because it's written B-O-O instead of Bouffant. Yeah. What was that?
It was a comedy cabaret act that I did with a friend of mine.
Did you write it?
Cindy Shaka, yes, we wrote it. We did
Oh,
parody.
Cindy Shaka?
Yeah.
I saw her in ballet
Your
class
good friend,
today.
yeah, she told me.
She already told you?
Yeah.
I can't believe it.
She sent me a text message.
Oh, immediately. I couldn't get away. Rick Sparks is doing what is she doing? It's I Love Lucy?
Live on tour. Isn't that wonderful? Rick Sparks, yeah.
So I was telling Rick I was interviewing you today, and he said, oh, well, Cindy was in it.
It's a small world.
I know. It happened all over. So you were with her in Bouffant?
Yeah, we did that we started in Chicago. We would do piano bars, and most of them have all shut down or been closed now. But that was in the late 90s. So.
That was great. Did you study comedy or sketch?
We didn't. We had not even done improv, and it was, 4 hours in front of drunk people in Chicago on cold January nights. You really learn, you just learn how to do that and how to do improv, and you really learn to think on your feet.
How did you get onto TV like that with that?
We moved to Los Angeles, I want to say 2003, and it was the first season of America's Got Talent. We didn't know what it was, and we thought, well, we'll go audition, and we got really lucky. We didn't have to, now you have to sit and they show these films of people sitting in these big stadiums for hours and hours waiting. We didn't have to do that. We
just
got
went right
on in, and we got a message about a week later saying that they wanted to have us on. The only problem was that they didn't know the song that we were doing, and it was Total Eclipse of the Heart, which is now a huge song, and it's been on Glee and all over the place. But at the time, no one had ever heard of it, and it was an old 80s song.
I know, and it's great.
Yeah. So it was fun. It was a good experience.
So you actually went to school in Chicago. You were born there.
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't you go to New York? Why did you come to LA?
That's interesting, Joan. when you're in Chicago, you kind of it's a great theater town, and it's wonderful.
Love it.
But
the art is great, and the architecture's fabulous,
wonderful.
And the wind is very strong.
And the cold is very cold. I kind of felt like it was time for me to either go to New York or Los Angeles.
Right.
And every time I came out to visit friends in LA, I just felt like I was always on vacation. Like it was like they had lived on vacation. They would go to lunch and brunch, and it was just easy living. And in New York, it was like get ready in the morning. You don't come back until midnight. So I thought
even when you're a tourist, same thing. So living is the same way, right?
Yeah. So I had friends from college that had gone to New York and Los Angeles, and I really loved LA. So.
But everyone made fun of us and said, "Oh, it's like you're on vacation all day long." But you guys
not a
were
bad
working.
Thing.
No, you were working. You were an actor. Were you on stage, or were you in musicals, or were you acting in film, or what?
Stage. I did stage in Chicago, yeah.
And here?
And not so much in Los Angeles. We kind of took off with the Bouffant sisters, and so we did a lot. We did the Celebration Theater. We did a little bit of the piano bars.
Oh, you did? So you did a lot of that.
Yeah, a lot of them have closed now, but yeah.
But what about film? Were you in film?
I did a couple films, yeah. Flirting with Anthony was probably our biggest one, which you can
You mean
see
as
on
the
Netflix.
bouffant?
Yeah.
Is that you're
yeah,
still talking about bouffant?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you are a bouffant.
Yeah.
And did you know what bouffant was? What did you?
Of course, yeah. We did like.
Did you wear wigs? Wear bouffant wigs?
Yeah, really high hair and outrageous '60s costumes, and that was our thing.
So did you do stage in Chicago?
Yes, as Joe Greene, yeah.
As
yeah,
Joe
yeah.
Greene. That's right. Hello, Joe.
Now we're back to Joe.
Okay, Joe. You studied musical theater in Los Angeles too, then?
I did. No, not in Los Angeles, in Chicago. I went to school for musical theater. Yeah, but it was when I moved to LA. I started working in musical theater, music directing, because I'd always played the piano.
Oh,
so I started arranging music, and I studied musicals in terms of composing. I did do that.
And
in
what
Los
kind
Angeles.
of school was that?
It was the Academy of New Musical Theater.
That's what I thought. So you continued your education
in
once
North
you came
Hollywood.
out here.
Yeah.
Is it still there?
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know you continued, extending what you were doing, which was musical, and I didn't know you played the piano. But do you write with the piano?
I do, yeah. I wrote this new show, Bronies the Musical.
So tell us where Bronies came from.
Well, back up a little bit. I was writing musicals, but I had not found, I was just doing the music, and I hadn't found the right book writer or lyricist yet. And I'd worked with a couple people, and no one that really got like my sensibility and like my offbeat sense of humor.
Yeah, you have to click, right?
Yeah, you have to click with the right person. So luckily I met Heidi Powers and her husband Tom Moore, and we met at an exercise class doing Richard Simmons. So that's where I met Heidi and Tom, and we started talking, and I found out that they were book writers, and so we thought, well, maybe we'll come up with a show.
So we have Richard Simmons' exercise class.
Yes.
We have the Hollywood and Highland ballet class.
Yes.
And so that's all we're talking about. And it's people like you who are always doing that, right?
Yeah, you never know where you're going to meet someone or where your next, contact will come from.
So you met them there, and Richard Simmons, I went to his class when he first started. So.
Oh, wow, isn't that great?
And you worked with him too?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, worked out with him, and
So Bronies was the big winner at the Fringe.
Hollywood Fringe Festival.
Really big winner.
We got the idea from watching a documentary about Bronies. I had never heard about them, and Heidi,
it's real.
Yeah, it's a real thing. And Heidi said you should watch this documentary, and it's about male, I guess adult male fans that are into the cartoon show My Little Pony.
Oh, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And Cindy was a pink pony.
She was.
Cindy Sharper was a
in
pink
the original,
pony.
yeah.
That's what she told me. So when I went to the Fringe, I was going to see a one-person play, and there was Bronies next to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the lines were so long. Even if I had wanted to come, I couldn't have gotten in.
We would have.
Oh, you would have let me in. But still, so what's the story? What did you write? What kind of music did you write?
So we there's so many different types of Bronies, and we thought, like, how can we make this world? How can we put all the people together in one world? And we decided to do kind of an anti-bullying musical. So they're all in high school. So we have two Bronies that are in high school. We've got the popular jock, and then we've got the nerd kid.
So you have a big cast.
We do, 17 people.
That's a very big cast for a little tiny stage, right?
Yeah, yeah. And we got really lucky with the Fringe. I think, the Bronies weren't really, they didn't embrace us at first. They weren't sure if we were going to make fun of them or if we were going to.
You mean the real Bronies?
The real Bronies, yeah.
Where did you find the real Bronies?
Well,
I can't believe this.
They're online. They have different fan pages and websites, yeah. And they came to the show and they loved it. But what we also found is that the theater community really embraced us, and the Hollywood Fringe really embraced us, because it's a story for anyone that's ever felt like an outsider or.
Yes, that's the thing, and also the bullying aspect, which is so wonderful to get that story across, no matter what age you are, right?
Yeah. So we had 9 performances at the Hollywood Fringe, and we sold out before our opening night. We sold out of all 9 performances.
The lines were around outside the lounge, wasn't it?
Yeah, the lounge theater. So now we have a new. We've changed some things. We've made the script a little bit longer. We've added some new songs, and we have a new director, all new production team, except 4 cast members from the original, and then the rest are all new.
So you use puppets. And you used a very famous puppeteer. Who was that?
Russ Walco, yeah.
And what did he do?
He's done puppets for Jim Henson, and most recently on Community, he did a puppet for the TV show Community.
And does that puppet go through all the time, or do the bronies use the puppets?
No, so we have 4 actresses that portray, they're like the storytellers of the show. They are, they're goddess ponies. And so they portray the ponies and the puppets. So they play,
do?
Yeah.
So Russ makes the puppets for you?
Yeah.
I see. Tell me a little bit more about the music.
The music. So I wanted to go with more, because bronies are really, really hot. They're contemporary. So I wanted to do contemporary Broadway.
Hot.
Yeah. I meant they're like trending right now.
Yeah,
so I wanted to do contemporary music and make it sound like Broadway of today, shows that I like. And one show that I really, really loved that I saw in New York was Heathers, which was based off of the movie Heathers. So Heathers the musical takes place now, and it's very contemporary. So I hadn't seen the show, but I knew I wanted that kind of a vibe.
And what kind of
Well, I guess rock, like rock and roll, and we have some influences there, and then also there's some traditional musical theater stuff as well. The mother sings a song to the son. It's called Urges, and it's about masturbation. But that song, it's more like musical theater in the terms of like I love Jerry Herman, so it's.
I was just gonna say like Mame singing out.
Yeah.
So does she do that?
Yeah.
And then how's the music?
So we have a band. We have a 4-piece band. Yeah. We have 2 keyboard players, a drummer, and a bass and guitar player.
And do you play or you
act
in it?
I'm actually in it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
what do you do too? I forgot.
So we actually, Heidi and Tom actually wrote a part for me. Hank, he runs the comic store shop, and he is the one that holds the meetup for all the bronies where they can come, like a safe space, and they can talk about what it's like to be a brony, and he sells comic books. So that's my character, Hank.
And do you sing?
I do
What do you sing?
So I sing a song called The Wish Book, and it's about the Sears catalog.
That's right. That was so great.
Yeah.
How does it kind of go a little bit?
Oh, you want me to sing the song for you?
No, not the whole thing, just a little bit.
Well, let me tell you a little bit about the setup.
Okay.
So, nowadays, everyone has the internet, and you can go and you can find all this stuff on the internet. But back when I was growing up, we had the Sears catalog, Sears Roebuck catalog.
This big.
Yeah, and you would look through at all the toys and everything. So that's what it's about, too. And also, when I was growing up, I was really into Star Wars. And I remember that there was a whole bedroom set of Star Wars things. There was a bedspread, sheets, and sleeping bag, and there were curtains. And I told my mom, I want all these things. So my mom, she went and put it all on layaway, and she would pay a little bit, and then I got the whole set. By the time we got the whole set, I was too old and I wasn't into it at all. But so that's where that song kind of comes from.
Oh, so you wrote it from that. That's great.
Yeah.
Your inspiration.
Yeah.
Very real.
Yeah.
And is that like a Broadway tune too?
A little bit, yeah. It's a story song. It tells a story about when I was growing up, how I wanted all these toys, and when Christmas came, I got clothes, and I didn't get a lot of toys. So when I grew up, I basically had a shop that I.
So long live bronies, right?
Yeah.
We'll be right back with another storyteller, Beulah Sanchez. Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome back to the Joan Quinn Profiles. We're here taping at the Hollywood Museum, and our guest is comedian, screenwriter, author of Really, this book, Beulah Sanchez. It's a book about Beulah's experiences online dating. Her PR person, Kim from LA, said, there's another lesson to be learned, but there's also an alias. So tell me what your real name is, because I want to introduce you as Rosalind Fleischer.
My real name is Rosalind Fleischer, and, I went with the alias because it's actually part of the humor of the book.
It is part of the humor, but let me introduce you as Rosalind Fleischer, who was born in Louisiana, raised in Phoenix, where she went to Arcadia High School with our friend Tim Geddes, and graduated with the Bachelor of Arts in Journalism from USC. So, in Phoenix, there's a great museum, the Fleischer Museum, or there was, or there is, or there used to be, or
Yes.
something like that. Why didn't you go into art at USC?
You know, I don't know, and I should have, because I really love art, especially the Impressionists, and not just because my parents collect the Impressionists, but my favorite place in the world is the Musée d'Orsay in Paris.
Well, let's go.
I'd love to.
Tell me what your family museum was about. It was called the Fleischer Museum,
Yeah,
right?
it was the Fleischer Museum, and
Is it still there?
it's not still there. It's moved to my dad's and my stepmother's ranch in northern Scottsdale. It's housed in a building there now.
Can people see it?
Yeah, people can see it. You can make an appointment to go see it.
Fantastic.
And it's gorgeous. It's American Impressionism and Russian Impressionism.
Oh, fantastic.
Gorgeous.
Did you learn about it? Did you study? Did you work at the museum?
I never worked at the museum, but through, talking with them about it and going to the museum many times, I started to learn about some of the artists, and many of them studied with the great Impressionists in France.
The Russians or the
Americans.
The Americans.
Guy Rose, for example, studied with Monet, and he's painted some of my dad's signature pieces in
Is
his
that right?
collection. Yeah, they're really stunning.
So where did your father collect?
All
Right.
over the world,
Did he?
but mostly in America and Russia.
Did he go a lot to Russia?
I think he went several times. I wouldn't say a lot, but I know
several times is a lot.
I know they like St. Petersburg.
Who
a lot.
doesn't, right?
Yeah. Well, I've never been, so
Well,
have
it's
you?
beautiful. Yes, of course. Yes,
Nice.
of course. It's great. So there you go to USC. You then go to journalism, and I did go to journalism school too.
You
At
really?
USC, yeah. We have a lot in common
I
here.
didn't realize that.
Yeah, Beulah, speak to me.
I went to journalism school because I wanted to be Diane Sawyer when I grew up.
Oh, I wondered what you wanted to be because there were no newspapers, really. You could write for the Phoenix Sun
No, I know.
or the LA Times, but that was about it, right?
Pretty much that was about it. And I wanted to be Diane Sawyer. And then as I got older, I realized I didn't want to write about what other people were doing, and I wanted to write about what I was doing. So I don't know if that's good, bad, or indifferent, but it's just kind of how it ended up.
Well, but in a way, did you write what you were doing? Because you went to studios then, right?
I did. I went to the studios, and I worked at the studios for a while. I worked down the street from you at Paramount. And it was an interesting time in my life, and then I screen wrote for a while.
Yeah, so you had your screenplays. Were they ever published, produced?
One.
Oh, so that
Yay.
was good.
And that's on IMDb, so you can look it up.
What is it?
It's called, it's the Fox Family Channel, and it's called Young Hearts Unlimited.
Right, so they did. You did get produced.
Once.
But we were talking about...
Which isn't a great track record, Joan.
Not bad, because you were, listen to this, when you were in development, I'm telling you, at Paramount, and then you went with Tom Cruise. Why would you need to do anything else when you're with that production company?
Yeah, it was a really interesting time in my life. And
Was it Wagner Cruise?
It was Cruise Wagner. And
Cruise Wagner, excuse me, not
Yes.
Wagner Cruise.
Oh, yeah, I don't think he'd like that too much.
No.
No.
Did you meet with him?
Oh, I've met with him several times, and we actually got along really well.
And what did you do when you were working for them?
I helped develop some of the films they were doing, like Mission Impossible and Top Gun 2, which I don't think ever got made. But
Top Gun was good, though.
the first one.
Yeah.
But the Mission Impossible series did really, really well for them. I mean,
Did you write anything, or did you just put stuff together?
I put stuff together. I didn't write anything.
How do you do that when you're in development? What do you do? Does Tom Cruise tell you what he wants, or you tell him what you have, or what do you do?
Paula tells me what to do.
Oh, Paula Wagner. And what does she tell you? I don't know. I don't know what.
That's kind of how it works.
I don't know what development does. What do you do on a film? It's not producing it, is it?
No, mostly we go through a lot of screenplays and try to decide what would be a good vehicle for him. That was mostly what I did.
And you found good vehicles for him, right?
Well, yeah, but mostly I have to credit Paula with that.
And after that, where did you go?
I went to my desk in my home.
What were you doing there?
I started writing.
Did you ever do stand-up comedy? Because you're really a great, funny writer.
Oh, thank you so much. I've never done stand-up, but I find that I will get up and perform in public situations, and with or without the help of cocktails.
Is that right?
Yes.
And do you like that?
I like it more and more as I get older and more comfortable with my comedic abilities. How's that?
Did you ever act in any of the movies that you developed, or did you have? Were
No.
you ever on the set? Never.
No.
Never?
I've been on the set, but I've never acted. I've never been an extra. I've never done that.
So, when you sit at your desk, what do you write?
Well,
Let's not talk about really yet, because I think when you sit at your desk,
I sit at my desk.
and you go online for dates,
and I stare at my screen.
Yeah.
And I go online for dates. And I'm a big stream of consciousness writer, and so once I decide what I want to do, I see where the day takes me, and usually the night before, I kind of have an idea in my head of what I want to do the next day, and I don't outline.
you just start writing?
Yeah, I do.
And you do it all on the computer?
I do it all on the
And-
computer.
And are you actually writing for a particular thing, or are you just writing stories?
Both. I've done writing assignments where
Oh, that's what I was wondering. yeah.
writing assignments where I collaborated with other people about what I was going to write, and then I have to sort through their ideas and my ideas and kind of get them all down on paper. That's when I do actually write on paper, and and decide what I'm going to do each day. And it really does help if I decide the night before and kind of sleep on it, and then have an idea of what to do the next day.
And then who looks at it after you've written it?
Either the producer, if it's a screenplay,
I see.
or in this case, the publisher.
And in this case, we're talking about really, question mark,
Really?
exclamation, really, really, really. So you've got all this time in between screenplays and TV shows and whatever else you're doing. You went online and you did all this kind of shocking stuff. I think it's shocking. It's not X-rated, is it?
I wouldn't say it's X-rated. A lot of people have asked me if it's like 50 Shades of Grey, and I don't think it's even close to that. I think that
No, it's funny.
thank you. I think that the sexual exploits, if you will, in the book are comedic, and they're there to make you laugh and laugh at the situations.
And when you went online, were you Beulah Sanchez? Is that right? You wrote under Beulah Sanchez?
No, I went online under my own name, but I have
did?
to admit that, yeah, I did. But I was a bit disingenuous in the sense that halfway through my online adventures, I realized I was going to write the book. So I started writing the book and dating at the same time.
Oh, that was very clever. It's a memoir.
It is.
It is a memoir in a way.
It is.
But it's also storytelling. Each chapter, and you say you didn't put the chapters in order as they happened.
No.
But each chapter tells a different kind of story and a different character, really.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't really all tie together except for you.
It's an ongoing story in the sense that the lead character is me, and I appear in each chapter. However, my friends that are constantly involved in my online adventures are in each chapter as well, so it's a bit like Sex in the City that way.
But your friends are real friends.
Oh, they're
telling
real
you
friends.
things, not the people that you're online with. Those you're not calling those people friends.
I'm not calling them at all.
No. So, how did you start, and why did you start?
I started because I am at home so much writing, and I wasn't meeting anyone. I did start with actual hope, and I started hoping I would meet a guy. But once I started, and it was just one crazy thing after another, and I realized that I probably wasn't going to, and that this wasn't the right vehicle for me, it became sort of its own animal, and it became something that I was doing that I wanted to write a great book about.
Then it became something that was like book material, right?
Exactly.
But when you first started, you didn't want to go on these big sites. You wanted to go on these smaller little sites, right?
I wanted to go on the smaller sites because I wanted to see what they were all about, and the bigger sites to me seemed like I'd run into people I knew, and I didn't want to do that. It seemed like my neighbor would be on Match.com, or my old professor would be on eHarmony, and I wanted to remain sort of anonymous, and I didn't tell people I was doing it at first, and I sort of just kind of started doing it on the down low, and it was really fun. And it was really
But you were
fun.
meeting people and going out, right?
I was meeting people, I was going out, and then in some ways it was really disappointing because before I decided to write the book, I realized I really wasn't meeting anyone that I could become serious with.
When we talk about online dating, what kind of lessons do you think you learned, or could we learn from the book or from you or whatever?
I think the most important lesson is to be safe. Because as much fun as I had, I got myself into situations where I did some things I shouldn't have done. And it was a blast, and maybe it was my little post-divorce crisis, but it is very important to be safe no matter what you decide to do and where you decide to take online dating and how you decide it fits in your life.
Because it's a weird world, right?
It's a very strange world, and you're presented with options and choices that I didn't really realize were available to me, and they're temptations.
One of the stories, you say your girlfriends were calling you and you were going to meet someone and you didn't want to tell them that you were going to meet them, and they made you report in, call me in 2 hours or whatever, to make sure you were safe, which goes along with what you're saying.
They did, and I'm really glad that they did that because I was going to have sex with a hot model, and that was my date. And that is not something I could ever picture myself doing, but that's what I was doing. And Joan, I had a great time. I'm glad it's over, but I had a really good time.
I love the one part where you say, this guy couldn't have been photoshopped somebody else's head on his body.
He did. He wasn't just unattractive, he was ugly. And he found a hot model's photo and used it as his own.
It was very funny. And the other person,
and thought he'd get somewhere.
And the other one, you said his hands were so little you couldn't look at it.
His hands were half the size of mine. And, you know, I can't get into that. And I think I might have mentioned in the book that I just don't date men who are smaller than me. And
you have to be that you can beat up.
If I can beat them up, I'm not going to date them. So.
That's what you said. And going back to what you were saying about being safe and all that, you did write a book about etiquette, or were participated in a book about etiquette?
I did, and I don't think I displayed much etiquette in this book. Do you?
No, but just now you were really talking about it in a different way.
You know, there is no etiquette in internet dating, is what I found out, and there aren't very many rules, and it's not. I think it might be different if you explore it from a religious standpoint, because I think, you know, Christian Mingle or J-Date, there probably is a lot calmer than what I experienced on the free sites and the sites where people go to hook up. But if you're looking for a serious relationship, my advice is that you go to eHarmony or you go to Match.com and you avoid the free sites, because the free sites are full of people looking to have a good time.
Good story.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for being with us, and keep writing to my email, JAQUINN1@AOL.com. See you next time.